Hi Vamshi, how are you?
Hi Rakesh, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you. So can you tell us something about yourself?
Completed my graduation in Mallareddy Engineering College in 2018, and after that I worked for Wipro as a junior tester, and afterwards I switched to Tata Consultancy to third party teamless solution, and I worked for banking payments over there, and uh, 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 I used to work with both in manual testing and automation testing. We will follow the agile methodology and present I work for a data driven framework with the Maven project, and we used to create the forms like documents like src documents and xml documents, and we used to create the files that get screenshot files, and we use GitHub repository for storing and for saving storing our source code for the future applications. And we use the Selenium WebDriver as a tool and Java as a language. And coming to the class, we use Supermost class. Like it is, we can create an inheritance with the Supermost class, like code reusability. Um, then we use TestNG for our test classes, and we use assertions and verification for test cases fail or pass. Um, yeah, this is my introduction.
Hmm, sounds good. So, what is the framework in which you are working?
I work for a data-driven framework.
Data-driven framework. Okay, so can you
Yes.
explain me the part of the framework? Which are the different things which
Uh,
you? Hmm,
yes, absolutely. Like we use Jenkins for this, and we have a pipeline for that Jenkins. Like we can automate it will automate day by day at the night time. And we use Maven as a project in data-driven framework, and we use the Apache POI for that. Like it is a Java, this Java POI. Like we can take our data driven framework into our application by using the Apache POI. Uh, yes, Rakesh, and we use TestNG for run the test classes, like which we have to run first and which we have to skip the test class, and which we have to run after some time. So we use TestNG for that. And for verification, we use assertions like assertion equal to assertion not equal to assertion false or true, all those things in our project.
okay, so whenever you get this kind of question that you have to explain about framework, so you have to explain end to end. Like you would be having configuration properties file from which you would be reading the URL. You would be having
Yeah.
some kind of utilities file, right? Then you would
Yes.
be
Yes.
having some kind of um, mm, yeah, the uh, the common files, right? The common controls, or you might be having the logs where you would be capturing the logs, any reporting mechanism that you have. So all those things you
Yeah.
have to take
Yes.
care,
Yes.
right? And then
Log4j.
yes,
We
yes.
use
Then you
log4j
might
for
be using
this.
reporting mechanism, right? So maybe extend report or allure report, whichever reports that you are using. Then what happens when the test case gets failed? So what is the end-to-end flow? So let's say you told that the Jenkins is triggering your automation at night, and then what happens next? What if the test gets failed? What is the next action item? Is it manual? Like you will be coming and you will be checking the reports in the morning, or maybe you will be creating a defect manually, or that is also automated, or how is the email trigger configured, right? So those all things you have to cover. So minimum, I think 5 to 7 minutes you should take in explaining your framework. The more you explain, the more clarity interviewer will get, right?
Like I got it. Like I'll explain stages. Like first we have to plywood and the machinery will update, and afterwards developer code will generate download it,
Hmm,
and afterwards like will our testers code will download it. Then
hmm.
afterwards our batch file will run our test automation test, and afterwards we'll get a report for. And then if you have any defects in previous test cases, it will show the test cases like defects.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah. So that is a good thing. So these all kind of things you have to explain when you tell about the framework. So first you have to explain technically the technical terms, Selenium version, Maven you are using as a dependencies. TestNG you mentioned. Then is it executing in multiple browsers? Parallel browser testing is available or not? DevOps you mentioned. So these kind of technical terms. Then functional stages, like you trigger the automation, then defects is created. How much time does it take? How much time does it saves? Right. So those all things you can mention. Okay. So this was good. Um, hmm. Now let's say there is a scenario of a banking website and you have to automate that particular scenario. So the scenario is you have a login screen, and after login, the person who has logged in should be able to see the account balance in their savings bank account, right? How much balance is there, XYZ amount, they should be able to get that particular amount, right? So how will you automate this scenario with respect to best practices
Uh,
and best approach? Yeah.
for this, I can follow like boundary like techniques. We have some techniques for like boundary value analysis techniques and equivalent partition techniques. Like boundary values means like how much extent we have to we will check like if in my account first there should be some amount in my account like it is 500 means like we have to do that boundary value analysis like how much it is crossing the limit or it is not crossing the limit for the boundary value analysis. Then afterwards I'll write some steps like feature file like login, but login first we have to do login functionality and a scenario like for the test, it is the main test cases like functionality is working fine or not for that. Then we use a scenario like what to test and scenario like no, one second. Sorry, we will use the given like what's the prerequisite like we have to landing that page or not. We have to use that it is used as prerequisite given. Then we'll follow the give then when functionality like it is a before the when functionality like it is uses for only for negative testing. We can do negative testing in this. And the scenario outline also like uh, we have to run a test data with multiple test cases, multiple test data. Then will you use this scenario outline, then at last we'll use then like it is the end of the test case, then functionality.
Okay. Okay. So first is you will be putting the test data in one CSV or Excel file from where you will be reading. So you would be using Apache POI
Yes.
and you would be giving some path of that file. Now that path of the file can be dynamic. You might be taking data from any path. So you have to keep the path in a global manner. It should not happen that you keep the path like C drive users, Vamshi, document, something like that, right? So that path won't work. So you will have to think from the global path or some path which is accessible from every machine, right? Generally, or you can also keep in the automation libraries or resources folder itself that particular files, sorry, that particular data, test data that you want to use, right? Then comes the,
Yes.
if you are going for BDD frameworks, then comes the keywords that you will be developing, right? So when you say scenario, so you will be having given, right? Then when you would be having all the action items like you will enter username and a password and you will click on the submit button, and then you will be adding as a verification page like what happens after the submit button is clicked, right? Maybe they will see some banking home page with the username in as a part of that text, welcome Vamshi to this
Yes.
website, for example, if it's an HDFC website, so you will see that particular text, so that you can put in the then, right? Then after then you will again have when, right? You will be accessing the savings account and you will be getting retrieving the amount. So those kind of keywords you will have to keep, right? Now in case of automation, you will have to create the step definition file. So for step definition file you will create the loop, right? Loop with
Yes.
various
Yes.
test data that you can take one by one from the file itself, right? And you can also keep the logging mechanism. For example, um, let's say you have 10 different users for which you have to perform this action, right? Then after fifth
Yes.
user, let's say if sixth user it didn't went well, but seventh user it went well. So those kind of logs you will have to write. So after every entry, after every login with respect to user, you will be creating a logs, maybe in the text file
Yes.
or JSON or XML, whichever it's comfortable. And those logs you would be sending as an email to the automation or the development team, just to make sure so that they can
Okay.
come to know in the morning, okay, out of 10, let's say if 10 out of 10 passed or 8 passed, 2 failed. So those kind of idea they can get. Then in the report also you will be having those kind of statistics data, whether how many have passed, how many have failed, right? And now the important thing is when you will receive the, when you will fetch the amount, when you will retrieve the amount received, sorry, amount that is there in their balance, right? So you cannot keep any checkpoint, right? Because you never know, sometimes amount
Mm.
can be more, sometimes amount can be less. So you can keep just one simple
Yes.
checkpoint is it should be greater than zero, and unit of currency is displayed properly or not. It depends on which country you are running that automation in, right? So
Yes. Yes.
that's how you can explain how will you automate this scenario. So this is one of the aspect. In test data, again, you can use negative test cases also. What if the user is not able to log in? If the password is not right, then you should be able to get that messages that are coming, validation messages on the login screen itself, right? That this particular thing is
Yes.
not working. So this kind of message. So you can put assertions. You are mentioning about assertions you are
Yes.
using. So soft assertions you can put. And at the end of the test, you can just mention assert all, so that all the verification has been done,
Like by
right?
using the soft asset, I think we don't get actual output or
Mhm.
expected output. Like if it will about know there only. Like if
So that is hard
by
assert.
using soft asset
Yeah.
is
So
that's
yeah,
oh,
so there are
okay.
two kinds of assertions. One is hard assertion,
Yes.
one is
Yes.
soft assertion, right? Both have got their pros and cons, but the good thing about soft assertion is you would be able to proceed to the next test,
Yes. Yes.
right? So that you can use. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, um, now let's say there is a scenario in which when you navigate to that particular page, sometimes the pop-up is displayed, sometimes the pop-up is not displayed. Then how will you automate this scenario?
Uh, Navigate page pop-up will display. Okay.
Sometimes it comes, not every time. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not. So how will you automate it?
I have to manage. I
Hmm.
have to manage the like
Hmm.
there is a function like driver dot get navigate dot windows.
Hmm. What is
We
that
have to
used
handle
for?
the windows. Handle for windows, multiple windows.
Handle for Windows. Okay. So in the pop-up, you will have two buttons, yes or no. Then how will you handle that
Yes.
pop-up message?
Uh,
So
okay,
I'm
yeah, I
giving
got
you
it. Like,
one simple message box, like sometimes you get that message from the website. For example, your website is um, amazon.com. So the pop-up will be there, and there will be a checkbox also, prevent this page from creating additional dialogues, with an OK button, right?
yes,
So how will you
yes.
handle this kind of alert or pop-up message?
Yeah, like driver. I know the syntax like driver dot alert dot for we have to accept driver dot alert dot sorry driver dot switch to dot alert dot accept
Mm,
if we
mm,
want to
mm.
accept. For dismiss,
Perfect.
we'll use driver dot switch to dot
Mm,
alert dot dismiss.
mm.
Open brackets
Right, right.
to
And
dismiss.
you
We'll
will
use
have
this.
to, yeah, apart from that, that is a good thing that you have told. Apart from that, you will have to use one if condition that will check if the pop-up
Okay.
is there, then
Yes,
you
yes, yes.
only you will click. Otherwise, every time it will fail.
Okay.
Right, right. Okay. Now, how do you debug into the code? Let's say your code was working on Friday, but on Monday your code has stopped. So how will you debug in your code?
First on by EOD, first I'll get push my code into that thing, and afterwards I'll in morning I'll get my code by using get method, like not get method. Like first I'll push my code by the EOD while going to the
Hmm.
my home. I'll push my code,
Hmm.
and afterwards if I want to retrieve the code, I'll use get code. Sorry, come again.
Yeah,
Question.
so the
Repeat.
question was, let's say on Friday, your code was working fine, right? You had pushed your code on Friday. Now on Monday, your code is not working. So whenever you are running some test, you are getting some random errors, right? So
Okay.
how will you debug in your code? You cannot do push and pull into the Git because those kind of errors will go into everyone's machine,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right? So how will you debug the code?
Mm. Like it is affecting all other team members. If I
No.
only
It's
I want.
affecting your only code. Your code has some problem in the morning. That's why you are not able to run that code successfully. So how will you do debugging?
Mhm. I guess like I'll modify my conflict file in the time.
So okay,
Not
so partially.
sorry. I'm getting yeah.
Okay, no worries. See, let's say if your code is not running, right? Then you will check
Okay.
in which particular file you are having error, right? Maybe some Maven dependencies have
Yes.
got changed because it's a Selenium code, right? So first check dependencies, right?
Okay.
Then see what kind of error you are getting. Are you getting some error because of the third party, some library integration that you have used? The pom.xml related errors you are getting, or you are getting errors in the file. So it might would have happened on Friday when you would have um, pushed, and on Monday when you would have pulled the code. So someone would have done some changes in the file in which you are also working, right? Then you will debug.
Yes.
Okay, this method was created by you on Friday. So there will be some tag or some, characters generated into that file because someone has already added the code into the same file in which you are working, right?
Okay.
So this is also one of the aspect. And uh, one more thing can be, you can build the project, you can clean, you can run maven clean, and you can run maven build, right? Then you can see what happens. Sometimes some
Okay.
dependencies
Like
issues are there. Hmm.
in that, like we'll clean our previous artifacts. No? Like in my.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you can
Okay.
you
Okay.
can
Okay. I
check
got
what
it.
kind of error you are getting. It depends. Maven error,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
form.xml dependencies, third party library, code conflicts, right? These kind of
Okay.
things happen. And then you can also check in the Git, okay, in this particular file, you can see the version history. Okay, this particular person has also checked in. You can have a word with them. You can collaborate with them. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
they have added some line of code in the same method function in which you also added on Friday.
For this, we can take a like a call also. No? What
Yeah, yeah,
like a meet. Yes. Yes.
definitely.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
do that. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So you can coordinate among yourselves and you can try to see what is the error. So after debugging, you will come to
Yes.
know the root cause, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you explain method overriding and method overloading with respect to the automation framework? Any example of the automation framework with these concepts, method overloading and method overriding?
Like method overloading is like two or more methods having the same name and same different parameters. Like it is a method overloading. I think a method overriding like same class having different same parameters and same class and same parameters. It is a method overriding. Like for example, we'll take parent class and child class. For example, like a child will we use inheritance here, like reusability of the code. Child will decide take the properties from the parent class.
In method overloading or in
I'm going
method
in right.
overriding?
in method
Which one?
overloading.
Overloading.
Like same class and different parameters overloading.
Hmm. Hmm.
Method overriding the same class and same parameters.
Okay. 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 What are the other differences? So inheritance, you were telling
Uh,
something. Inheritance is method overloading or method overriding.
it's I think it's method overriding.
Okay. Then
Code reusability.
code reusability. What is that?
Sorry.
Yeah. What is code reusability? Means is how does it come into this picture?
No, it's not this in the picture. Like I'm confusing.
Okay. Okay. No
It's not.
worries.
It's total. It's oops concept. I think yeah, inheritance all those things.
Correct.
Sorry.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. No worries. See, method overloading is a compile time polymorphism. Method overriding is
Yes.
a runtime polymorphism. Okay. In method overloading, the methods. So when I say method overloading, so you have to tell the definition or the explain in an interview with respect to method, right? So
Okay.
methods must have same name and different signatures, right? But in method
Okay.
overriding, methods must have same name and same signature itself, right? In
Yes.
method overloading, the return type uh, can or cannot be the same. It depends, right? In method
Yeah.
overriding, the return
Yes.
type must be the same, right? Then overloading methods are there, so static binding will be used. In overriding methods, dynamic binding will be used, right?
Dynamic.
Right. Then there are two kinds of methods if they are private or if they are final. So those can be overloaded, while final and private cannot be overridden, right? Then
Okay.
argument lists should be different while doing method overloading, but it should be same in case of method overriding, right?
Okay.
Now tell me with respect to automation framework, any example that you have implemented method overloading and method overriding in the automation framework.
Automation framework.
Hmm.
Right now, I'm not getting anything. Like
Okay, okay, no worries. So let this be an open question for the people who are watching this video. Explain the real-time example of method overloading versus method overriding, how you have used them in your automation framework. Okay. Now, what is XPath?
XPath, like we can in XPath, like we can traverse uh, the up in the document
Mm,
by using XPath. Like we have a XPath like absolute XPath and delete XPath
mm,
coming to extents. And absolute XPath, like it will follow the hierarchy of the hierarchy like parent and child. The main problem with absolute XPath is like if we have any UI changes, I think it will fail there sometimes. And coming to relative, like it will place the node
mm,
in the the exact position. Like it is a very like it is very easy, or it is very uh, best compared to absolute XPath.
mhm.
In absolute XPath, like we use a single slash, and coming to relative, I think we use a double slash and with a tag name in relative XPath. Yes.
Okay. Do you find XPath manually or you use some automation tool?
Uh, like we'll use some automation tools like think for CSS and selectors. Sorry
Which,
for
which,
navigate for
yeah.
sorry for navigation of elements. We'll use CSS and all those things. Okay.
Mhm.
And okay, okay. For
So,
navigation purpose, we'll use.
okay. So there is a automation tool that is a, open source available, Selectors Hub. Do you use that tool for finding
Yes.
XPath?
Yes, yes, we'll use selectors.
Yeah. So what do you know about Selectors Hub?
Selectors means like in Selenium WebDriver, like we use a single machine, it will follow the multiple browsers.
No.
But
Selectors Hub is actually a Chrome plugin, a free Chrome plugin that
yes,
is
yes, yes,
innovated by Sanjay
yes.
Kumar. And you actually can find relative XPath. You can also find test trigger path. You can also find CSS selector for any element using Selectors Hub. Have you
Test
used
Studio,
Selectors Hub?
no,
Yes.
not mostly. Like
Okay. You were telling
I
something
used to work
about
in,
Test Case Studio?
yeah, test case studio. Like we can record our test cases and
Hmm.
user actions in the test case studio. I think it is a plugin. I think it's a
Right,
plugin.
right. It's a plugin that is also a
Plugin.
good innovation that
Yes.
has been done. But even Selectors Hub is a good thing that you can, good plugin that you can use in your automation scripts,
Yes.
right? Okay, okay. Can we get some auto suggestions in Selectors Hub while developing an XPath?
Auto suggestions.
Hmm,
Develop an XPath. Like
hmm.
yeah, auto suggestions. Like 1 second. For example, like auto suggestions, there are many auto
Hmm,
suggestions
hmm, hmm.
like getting
So,
ads,
mhm.
getting alert
So,
messages.
so let's say if you are writing some XPath, so Selectors Hub will auto suggest you at times, what is the correct XPath. So you will also get an
Yeah.
idea. So those kind of auto suggestions are available in Selectors Hub.
Okay. Automatically, it will. Yeah.
Yes, it
Yes.
will do. Okay. Now, what is the difference between DevTools and Selectors Hub?
Dev tools and selectors are
Hmm.
dev tools. No, I don't have any idea. Like dev tools.
Mm-hmm. Okay. See,
Can you
actually,
explain me? Uh,
huh?
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, can you explain me about dev tools and
Yeah. So DevTools is nothing but, when you inspect the element for finding out XPath and all those things. So in
okay.
Selectors Hub, you can auto suggest the locators function while typing in Smart Editor, but in DevTools, you won't get that option. There is a Shadow DOM support that is available in Selectors Hub. In DevTools, it is not there, right? Then you can
Okay.
generate relative CSS selectors in Selectors Hub. In Chrome DevTools, that is not available. You will have to find it out manually. You can also find
Okay.
relative XPath, relative JS path. You can install the Selectors Hub in various plugins in various browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Opera. Right? If there is an invalid format and if there is a missing element, then you will get proper message also in Selectors Hub. But in Chrome DevTools, it is not there, right? And then
Okay.
if you have to find if you have to automate SVG element, so that support is also available in Selectors Hub, but in DevTools, Chrome DevTools, you will have to find it manually only, right? So these are few of the differences. So you can see a quick comparison between different locators tools, right? Even CrowPath is
Okay.
there, so CrowPath also does not has all these kind of features.
Proper.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Vamshi, I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Like I'm not have any questions. Like
Hmm.
is my resume is updated or not? Like how is it is
Yeah. Resume looks good.
it
You can
is
add your Git URL into the resume. So people can
okay.
navigate to that URL and they can see your code.
Like where I have to focus most.
So you have to focus on Java OOPS concepts, right? And the automation framework, like how you have to explain the framework. So those kind of questions would be asked to you, right?
Okay.
Mm.
And like I think I didn't get any questions from manual or
Uh,
anything.
Yeah, actually,
Like
we covered most of the automation because if automation is there in your CV, so 80-20 ratio would be there in the interview also.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Vamshi, and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Akus. Thank you. Bye.